All right, I am back with This Week at Tassi, my weekly news roundup show. Pretty good week this week. A lot of interesting stories that we can go through, including one pretty big one, which was the nominations for the Game Awards. I know some people don't give a shit about the Game Awards, but it's the closest thing that we have to like the video game Oscars, like it or not, even though it is also just sort of winter E3 where the big story is just whatever games Jeff Keighley manages to procure. There's these rumors that like Half-Life 3 is going to be there. I don't know. I'll believe that when I see it. I've been hearing about that for a decade, so we'll see. The biggest story coming out of this is that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 secured a record number of nominations, more so than any other game in the past. It has always been thought of as a frontrunner for the show in general, but also Game of the Year, and this certainly indicates that is probably still the case. They announced the 6 Game of the Year nominees. That was Clair Obscur, that was Donkey Kong Bonanza, that was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Death Stranding 2, Silk Song, and damn it, I knew I was going to try and do this by memory, but let's see. Game of the Year nominees 2025. Hades 2. That was not an edit, and I did not spend 30 seconds looking that up. Probably because I don't find Hades 2 forgettable. I just am a little surprised it's like the highest scored game of the year by a significant margin. Don't get me wrong, I liked it, but it's definitely more Hades, and Hades is amazing, but a little surprised. A big controversy, or at least topic of conversation before this, was whether Ark Raiders would be nominated for Game of the Year, given that it is, I would argue, at least one of the biggest commercial successes of the year. I mean, maybe in terms of literal dollar amount, but also in terms of just how no one was expecting it to be this big. I'll more on that a little later. Clair Obscur, I think, is the biggest quality surprise, kind of out of nowhere. But that was not nominated. It was nominated for Best Multiplayer. There was this thing about how it wasn't nominated for Best Sound Design, which it has amazing sound design. I think this was sort of a punishment for the game using AI voice work in some of its areas in the game. I have no way of proving that, and that's not really sound design, but I do think that factored into things, like it or not. One interesting thing about Clair Obscur is that it had 3 of the 6 best performance nominations for Gustav and Mael and Verso. Gustav, of course, is voiced by Charlie Cox, where he famously has talked about the game and like doesn't really understand how big it is. He's like, yeah, I did this in like 4 hours, and like I hear the game's really good, so like that's cool. Not a knock against Charlie Cox. It's just kind of funny. I do think his spot should be occupied by Andy Serkis, who played Renoir. He's in the game a lot more, and I think I certainly think he's up there with the other 2, if not the best one, maybe. So that's one thing I think maybe should be in there. I think they hit the record because I don't remember when there's been 3 out of 6 voice performances for one game, but I certainly agree with it. I'm not even going to pretend like Expedition 33 is not my game of the year. One of my favorite games of all time now. There's been this thing about like how Clair Obscur fans are so annoying, and like they think it's like the best game ever, and like they hate like true JRPGs and RPGs, and like I find that very annoying. Like, yes, there are some annoying Expedition 33 fans, but the people yelling about that are more annoying, I find. So anyway, that's Game Award nominations. That's in December sometime, and I guess we'll see how that goes. I'll obviously be covering that. Next story is there are a bunch of leaks from the sets of the Legend of Zelda movie that is being filmed currently. You could just see like tiny glimpses of Zelda and Link, and Nintendo was like, screw it. We don't want people just looking at these like shitty images. So they released some images from the film officially, and those were ones that show Link and Zelda, in action. They look amazing. Like they super look like the characters, like kind of the ultimate one-to-one that you might want from a movie like this. They are played by essentially entirely unknown actors. Zelda is Bo Bragason, Link is Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, and I mean, they're kind of pulled out of obscurity more or less for this, and I don't know. We don't know how this is going to go. A live action Legend of Zelda movie has always felt like a big risk. This is from Wes Ball, who's most famously the director of the Maze Runner series, which the Maze Runner series was fine, I guess, but this is a much more high profile project. He is supposed to be a like huge Zelda super fan. I forgot to say in the leaked images we see Deacon Lockman as what appears to be Impa. She is Miss Casey in Severance and in a zillion other things. I first saw her in Dollhouse, and then she was in the good season of Altered Carbon, season 1. She was in both of them, but that was the better one. So she's a cool addition to the cast. She is not a complete unknown. So I guess we will see who else is in the movie over time, but we literally know of no one else. Over in Fortnite land, things are gearing up for this big launch of Chapter 7. One of the weirder things I've seen in this game in terms of its collaborations, obviously there have been 10 million collaborations for Fortnite over the years with various IP. This one is a collaboration with Kill Bill, where it's not just they're putting the bride in the game as a skin, which they are, but it resulted in this whole thing that was like a secret, like red carpet event, like playing the new chapter, and Quentin Tarantino was there. Uma Thurman was there. They had the Pussy Wagon there, except instead of Pussy, they had the cat on it from Fortnite. What's his name? Meowscles. And it's the Meow Wagon. All very strange, except this is promotion for Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, which is Tarantino combining the two parts into one movie. There's also this weird thing about the like lost chapter where originally Yuki Yubari, I think her name was the sister of Gogo Yubari, who is a skin you can get if you buy a ticket for the movie, where she was going to go and take revenge on the bride in America. That was cut at maybe like an animated sequence in the film or something, but Fortnite is advertising it as something that's going to happen in the game too, and I think there's a Yuki skin attached to it. Like, this is just crazily elaborate for a collab, and of all things, with Quentin Tarantino involved. One thing of note that I thought was pretty funny that someone pointed out was that with Uma Thurman showing up as the bride, she joins her husband, Ethan Hawke, who just appeared in the game like a month ago as the Grabber from Black Phone. We almost got the full family run here because they just did a new Stranger Things collab, and their daughter Maya Hawke could have been in it, as she's a pretty prominent character in Stranger Things, but they did the boring 4 guys instead. So that's, I don't know. Fortnite continues to surprise me. Then we have this interesting debates competition between Arc Raiders and Black Ops 7. Black Ops 7 launched with what I would say is not that much fanfare. The gist of it seems to be people really hate the campaign, but other people say the multiplayer is really good, zombies is good, so it's kind of split. It's a 1.8 out of 10 on Metacritic from user scores. I mean, not great, but it's Metacritic user scores. I'm not really sure what people are mad about per se, but it started off with an 84 on Metacritic, and I think it dropped to like a low 70s, so that was really good at first, but that's more in line with recent Call of Duty releases now, is lowish 70s. The story here was that going up against Arc Raiders, Arc Raiders hit its record player count, its 3rd week of release. Like, it's 480 something, I think, 480 something thousand concurrents on Steam during the weekend of release of Black Ops 7. And Black Ops 7, I think, barely hit 100,000 concurrents on Steam. This resulted in this whole debate of like, it's on BattleNet, it's on Game Pass Store, and like it's a big on console, and like, yeah, that's all true. But I don't know how much you can spin this, because that was all true of Black Ops 6, and Black Ops 6 had like 300,000 concurrents when it launched, even though it was on Game Pass and BattleNet and all these things. So, I'm not sure I fully believe in that spin. Microsoft and Activision have not put out any numbers. They're just like, a lot of people are playing, thanks for showing up. And like, they used to brag about Call of Duty player numbers all the time. I think in the end, Black Ops may have more players. I mean, people are right about the console thing. Like Black Ops is huge on console, or Call of Duty is in general. So that may push them over the edge, but I don't know if it'll be the best selling game of this year. It doesn't seem like that's a guarantee when it normally is. Arc Raiders has done just insanely well with its $40 price and relatively minor microtransactions. It's a lot of people's favorite multiplayer in some time. It has really mainstreamed the extraction shooter in a way that we have not seen. I don't know, really, Helldivers is, you can debate whether that's an extraction shooter, but this is a more traditional one, doing extremely well. I have rarely seen a game just keep topping its player count week after week. Like usually when that happens, it's like, oh, there's some big expansion and like maybe that makes a new peak or something. But this is crazy. So we're heading into the fourth weekend here. I would be surprised if it topped it again, but like, who knows, man? This game is defied expectations at every turn. So it's cool to see. I'm not playing it. I've been playing other stuff. I got to catch up on TV and movies and stuff. As you know, these days I'm not really a PvP guy. I get the appeal. I played the alpha a good amount, and like I really understand why people like it. Even as a non-really extraction person, it was fun. In solos, I hear it's like really collaborative, which is fun to see as opposed to trios, which is like a death match. So maybe I'll head back in there at some point, but I'm glad everyone's having such a good time with it. Finally, more minor story, but Borderlands 4 decided to make its latest bounty pack free. That was supposed to be something that's like sold separately or is sold as part of like the overall bundle for the year. But this is like this Christmas DLC. I think this was kind of an apology tour for what was undoubtedly the worst Halloween event I've ever seen in a video game, and I am not exaggerating there. This has more actual content, more actual weapons, and so I think they wanted people to show up for that. There's a big balance patch and stuff. People are like, "Oh, Borderlands is so desperate." I think people are underestimating that Borderlands 4 did well. It did do well. They just came out like a top list of the biggest selling games of the year so far. At least I think it's at least in the US, and I think Borderlands 4 is like 3 or 4. It's very high, and that has done very well. It did not get nominated for any game awards, which I'm sure they're a little bummed about. I think it's the best Borderlands game. I'm just having a little trouble finding the motivation to like go back there and like do this DLC and stuff. It's like don't get me wrong, I loved it. I ended on a positive note. I didn't like quit out of it being lame or something. I just felt like I'd done what I needed to do. I think I'd come back during the big expansion, not just like this holiday event that people are saying is like kind of just okay. They did say that they're going to make takedowns in the future. Well, one takedown in the future, and we're already getting an invisible. That'd be fun. Invincible boss at some point in the new year here. So that's building out the end game more, but that should have been built out more at launch. At launch? Okay, what am I doing? At launch. Okay, so those are the 5 stories, and I recently shared that I went to Bungie. Whoa, I have not been to Bungie in 10 years since the House of Wolves event. Lately, Bungie has been very chill and inviting me to a bunch of stuff that I could not go to. This is the first one I could go to. This is the Renegades preview event where we played the game and talked about stuff, and that's all I can say. I will be sharing my thoughts along with all these other creators before launch. That's all I'm going to say. And people are like, "Oh, like, can you like give a hint that you were like pleasantly surprised?" Like, no, I can't say any of that shit. I can't say anything. You're not allowed to say anything. And I want to be invited back again. There's going to be the whole conversation about like, "Oh, these shills are invited there." It's like, you think I'm a shill? Like, you haven't read thousands of articles I've written about like the bad state of Destiny left and right. I think since I came back, I've written like 80% negative articles. So believe me, it's not changing my perception of Bungie, but it was very nice of them to invite me, and it was really chill to see all the Bungie people, see all these streamers that, you interact with all the time, but obviously you don't see them in person. Everyone's very tall, and this has resulted in a meme that people think I'm short, which is very upsetting because I'm not, but whatever. So that was cool. That was like 2 weeks ago. I will talk more about that obviously when I can. And so next week is like the day after Thanksgiving, so I don't think I'll do a video then for this. But yeah, so I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I'm trying to think if I should ramp up more plans for YouTube in the future, as that seems to be something that is going to be eaten by AI more slowly than, let's say, writing. But we'll see what plans end up being for that. If you have any suggestions about other content you'd like to see from me, I'm all ears. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.